One of the definitive symbols of luxury and wealth is private jet travel. From the beginning of the Learjet period to the present ultra-long extend enormous cabin jets, the most wealthy individuals on the planet enjoy the unmatched opportunity and freedom that private jets give. For a captivating and vaunted domain, there are a great deal of confusions about it and the finances required to play inside it. In view of this, today we dive into the real cost of owning a private jet. The cost of a private jet depends on some variables, especially where you are going, what aircraft you want to fly in, who is flying with you, and when you want to reach your destination. For example, a short trip from Boston to Bangor, Maine, around 30 minutes, would likely just cost $2,500 in a little plane. However, on the off chance that you were flying in an extravagant, modified, fair-sized private jet from Boston to Cleveland, around an hour-and-a-half flight, you're probably going to pay more than $30,000 for the ride. Obviously, it likewise depends upon whether you need to purchase or just rent a private jet as you go. The cost for a spick-and-span private jet ranges from $3 million to $90 million. In spite of the fact that used planes are less expensive, they, despite everything, cost a huge number of dollars. For point of view, a used Gulfstream G650ER, the organization's lead private jet, costs $37.5 million to $49 million on the Gulfstream site. With additional items and customization, the cost can take off to countless dollars. If you have deep pockets, extremely deep pockets, and you fly over 200 hours yearly, possessing your own jet makes more sense. However, in case you're a generally rare flyer, and you fly not as much as that every year, renting turns into a budgetary issue. Why squander cash purchasing a plane when you won't use it all the time? Beyond the upfront price, the expense of upkeep, fuel, and pilots' pay rates can, without much of a stretch, mean $1 million every year. If one pilot is paid a $250,000 salary, for instance, you will also need to pay that in addition to benefits, and relying upon the size of the plane and how regularly you fly it, you'll likely need a few pilots. That would bring the all-out yearly expense for the pilots alone to $750,000. Another immense expense is fuel. Top off the almost 50,000-pound tank of a 17-seat Bombardier Global 8000, for instance, costs about $53,000. Then comes the storage expenses, which can cost $200,000 annually. Maintenance expenses can rapidly include also. To replace a plane's windshield, for instance, could cost undoubtedly $60,000. There are no cheap parts on these things. Everything's pretty expensive. While it might be worth it, despite all the trouble for the multimillionaires and tycoons of the world, there's no denying that flying private is an exceedingly expensive approach to travel. Quote, for one of these greater planes, for example, it takes 15 minutes to maneuver to the end of the runway. You're on the plane for 15 minutes, and let's just say that it's $2,500. For $2,500, you can go to Europe and back. Before you even took off, that is how much cash you're spending. Regardless of where and how every now and again you plan to fly, jet owners are confronted with substantial continuous costs, starting with routine upkeep and on-the-ground private time. Then there are unexpected fixes. A blown tire can cost $2,000 to $3,000 to supplant. A split windshield is somewhere in the range of $45,000 to $70,000. There's actually hangarage, which means a parking space in a shed, in addition to crew salaries and airplane protection. As the owner, you need to cover everything. As a general guideline, you can hope to pay around $500,000 to $1 million every year in working expenses. Filling up the tank on any private jet isn't cheap as well. With an interior fuel limit of 1,926 gallons, and at $6 per gallon, the fuel tank holds $11,556 worth of fuel when full. Utilization is 347 gallons, or $2,082 every hour. Buying a private jet is a colossal cost that shouldn't be messed with. Regardless of whether you travel every now and again for business or pleasure, it will be a very long time until the expense of a private jet is more affordable than that of flying commercially. Prior to making the investment, it is critical to ensure that you can manage the cost of the upfront expenses, in addition the drawn-out costs related with gas, crew members, protection, and repairs. Are you going to be a billionaire who buys one of the private jets? Let us know in the comments below. As always, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. See you next time.